Not working. I was just going to do me little video there, but it didn't come on for some reason. But hello and welcome to From Dial Square to Where with the A&R's Super Sunday Q&A with me and Ryan. How are you, Ryan?
Not too bad, considering I'm melting all day. And I don't know why, but for some bizarre reason, woke up this morning and the patio door basically at the back of the house, and the non-moving one with all the heat, it decided to shatter. So now I've got to get that sorted tomorrow.
You're joking? Bloody hell!
The heat's just taking it. Come down this morning, do a cup of tea and all that. There's idiots partying till 5:30, so he stayed in bed till like 11, just gone 11. Come down to myself a coffee and bloody I started hearing this like crackling noise. I'm looking around like nothing else is on. So I've got off looking like what could it be? What could it be? As I'm walking back towards the kitchen, the whole panel from both sides is completely shattered.
God, bloody hell! Never heard of that before. Bloody.
But the windows were condemned years ago, and the landlords never got round to sorting it. And this is one of the windows that got condemned. And yeah, that's happened. So yeah, the heat's obviously got in too hot, nowhere to go, and gone.
God, unbelievable. Well, at least your landlord can get it sorted, and you haven't got to go and get it sorted. That's one thing. But yeah, welcome back to the show, everyone. Get your questions into the chat, please. As we always say every single week, there's no content on these shows without your input. So we need your questions. Doesn't have to be about football. Doesn't have to be about Arsenal. It'll be about anything whatsoever. In fact, I'll just start on a funny one because I put a little question out on the Twitter earlier on. And I said, and it's just one for you, Ryan. You may or may not like it, but what's the best way to enjoy peanut butter? Because I don't know. It's a genuine question because I don't know whether I like it or not. Really, I like peanuts. I've tried peanut butter before, but I never really got into it. But I bought a jar last week just out of the blue, and I just wonder what's the best way that you like eating it. Do you like it first off?
Again, growing up, I wasn't one of them kids that had to have peanut butter on everything. I mean, that didn't really have it that much, but I have it every now and then, once in a blue moon. I don't know. Really, I think I've had it on a sandwich once a night. As I say, I don't really know that well. So
yeah, that was just after some ideas, different ways to try it. I've had some really weird and wonderful, wacky suggestions put onto Twitter, which is always quite nice. Yeah, and BX Gunner says peanut butter and jelly sandwich. What particular jelly do you have, BX? Because someone on Twitter said that blackcurrant is the best to go with it, but I might give it a try one day. So our American friends obviously keep going on about peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, so I might have to give it a try one day. One thing I will suggest is for those out there, if you have, and I just put this on the Twitter as well, said if you spread one slice of bread with peanut butter, the other slice with chocolate spread, and put it together as a sandwich, it really tastes like a Snickers sandwich. So, yeah, it's actually really nice, believe it or not. Quite sweet. If you've got a sweet tooth, just give it a try. I think you won't be disappointed. But right, got a couple of questions to start us off on one of the WhatsApp groups that we're in. Start off with a bit more of a serious one, funnily enough, before we go on to the less serious one. But basically, it's from Victoria Scott. Thank you ever so much for the question. So today was the anniversary of when Raoul Moat killed himself after the standoff with the police. It was one where Gaza turned up with a chicken, cans and fishing rod, and he admitted that he had 14 lines of coke before the event. And basically, there's reason for the question. It says, should clubs do more to help retired players like Gaza, like Kenny Sampson, George Best, etc.? or are they just beyond help? And it's a bit of an in-depth question, really, but I do believe that clubs have a moral responsibility to help their former players. I've listened to a few podcasts on this subject, and I don't think that the sort of PFA do an awful lot in this sense. I know they're getting a bit better, actually. They are trying to sort of help more in this sort of area, but still more could be done. And yeah, I just think that if you catch these things really early doors, you've got a much better chance of beating it in any sort of illness. And they do need to help and be monitored. However, on the other side of the coin, players have to put their hands up and say that they need help, recognise that they need help first off, and then go and seek that assistance. So, what do you think about that sort of? So I know it's a bit deep to get started, but it's a good question. So, what's your thoughts really on that?
No, yeah, definitely. I mean, not just a club. For me, it's not just a club that need to have a responsibility. I think it's the FA in general, the PFA in general. They need to do a lot more than what they do currently, than what they've ever done. Because again, it's to say plays like Gaza, George Best. So with George Best, it's a different issue. George Best knew the problem. He got, even then when he knew, he still got help. He got a new transplant, and he abused it within 6 months. So there's differences there, but then there's still, in that instance, there should have been a program in place at the time to help him in the next few months, even in the build up to the operation, just to get him ready for the operation and after the aftermath of it, to make sure he doesn't abuse that one. Because then you get what now. Obviously, he's passed. His son, then obviously Callum, who's that occasionally that come over here, will get the brunt of it because your dad was an alcoholic. He had a chance. He abused. That's not always the case because there's never, even with all the money in the world, clearly, no matter who you are, there's not that support system. There needs to be that support system.
It's an illness at the end of the day.
With Gaza, he was getting the help, but again, it wasn't to the extent of where it needed to be, where got coping mechanism. Because it's all with Gaza, it's more of a coping mechanism of whatever goes on in his life. That's the first thing he turns to. And I think the most notable thing with Gaza, when it all really fell apart after his playing career ended, was when he was sacked from a non-league club. He was a manager of a non-league club for like 2 months. Had one mishap in that time frame. We went out on a bender and got sacked, and there was nothing in place. Then it was just like, "Oh, you don't want you now, off you go." And there was no one, and not even his. And with Gaz's family side of things, I get annoyed with as well. There was no one who was there to support him. They just all left him there to rot. And that, for me, again, it doesn't help things. It does really annoy me because the George Best and the Gaza situation could have been avoided way in advance, especially Gaza more than most in these most recent times. We see him now; he's a shadow of himself. He's a complete shadow of what the character of what he used to be when we saw him growing up and after his career ended and all that. And that's down to what he consumes on a regular basis nowadays, because he's not getting that support. When he's thinking, well, I'm not getting that support, I'm not getting that love. There's no why should I carry on sort of thing. So he's trying to use it as a way to get out of and zone out from all the negativity in his life. And I watched the documentary when it all. I don't think it's on Netflix anymore. It was on Netflix, and near the end of it, it touches on that. Where for him, where it all stemmed from was when he got wind of. I think it was a son. Was the phone tapping up? Was it son?
Yeah. Mirror. The mirror.
That's it. The mirror. Sorry. He got wind of that. He heard all about this, and he was with no evidence whatsoever. He was convinced that he was getting tapped up. His phone was getting tapped as well. So because people, even his own family, were like, "Oh, he was just talking at your ass," sort of thing. In certain phone conversations, he would say certain things, and they'd end up in the paper.
Mm.
The thing is, the things he was saying, he knew the people he was saying it to on the phone weren't going to say anything to the person, run to the person, because he trusted them. So the only way that could have happened, it did turn out they had been tapping up each phone.
Yeah.
But because for months and over a year and a half on end, of no one in his own friends or family circle really close to him believed him, even his own mum and dad, he just sent him gaga, and he was like, the Copenhagen, the first thing to do was to go to that. But even since then, it's just like he'll do what he can. The thing is, he does what he can, what he believes he can in a situation, but there's no one there to support him when he comes out of rehab. Every time he's just left to rot, which then sends him back in a circle over and over again. And as I say,
it's a classic
question. Yeah, the clubs and the PFA and the FA, etc., should do a lot more for these ex-players that have these problems.
It's a classic example of getting there too late, really, I think, with George Best, with Paul Gascoigne, obvious legends of the game. And I think that more needs to be done when players specifically end their careers, they retire, and all of a sudden they're left with a complete and utter dearth in their life with loads of money, but no, what's the word? No sort of motivation to do anything anymore. You know, their whole life was in the modern day. Their whole lives from a young child is all handled by the club.
Yeah.
You know, they don't have to do anything for themselves.
No.
Football is their life. Obviously, they live, breathe, and eat, sleep football. That's basically it. And when that's all of a sudden snatched away, they've got thank you, BX. No purpose. That's exactly what I was looking for. Yeah, no purpose in life, and it must be so hard for them. And I know people say, "Oh, poor them." You know, they've earned all this money. But we're not just talking about the superstars. You know, even players in the lower leagues who we never hear of. We don't even know them. We never heard their names in a lot of cases, and they only earn a sort of normal wage. And they will have to go and find another way of supplementing their income when they retire. But it's not even, it's all relative. So even if they are multimillionaires and people say, oh, boo-hoo, you know, they've got all this money in the bank, it's still a mental health issue that a lot of these players have to go through. And they're only human at the end of the day. So I think it's right at that point, really, that they need help to manage their lives, to sort of start again, doing something else if they're going to want to move away from football, whether they want to stay in football. It's really, really important that they get hold of these players then, because if they have got a lot of money in the bank and whatever, and it's just suddenly sitting around all of a sudden, they've retired, what are they going to do? They are going to turn to things like alcohol, drugs, gambling, that type of thing, which is where the slippery slope starts. So, I really do hope that gets looked at, because we've all seen the horrible situation that Kenny Sansom, our own Kenny Sansom, went through all those years.
Paul Mercer's been through, gambling and all that. He's been through it as well since the end of his playing career and coaching and all that. It's took him a long time to come to publicly put it out there, but even then, as you say, there's nothing. There's none of this. None of these sort of what we see nowadays. These programs, these what you want to call them, to help prepare these players for what if they haven't got anything. If they don't want to go, for example, if they don't want to go into coaching, what do you want to do? Do you want to stay in football? Do you want to do a self-preparation for what's to come, basically? But it's like, as soon as they retire, out of sight, out of mind, bye-bye. You've served your purpose to us. We don't need you no more. And it's, as you say, with Paul Merson, we're lucky enough that he did come out publicly the way he did in the end, before he did anything drastic and dark, so to say. I'm not going to go into it, but you know I'm going with that. I mean, Tony Adams is another one who had issues in his playing career, and we're lucky enough that he dealt with it and nipped it in the bud when he did. Because that's another one that could have been just left to the wolves, like we see with Gaza and Best and Kenny Sampson and all that. But it can't be just because the likes of Tony Adams was able to turn his life around when he did, or if he can do it, anyone can. Everyone's different. But Premier League don't want to work with the likes of Tony Adams and his rehabs and all that, his charity funds and all that, to help these ex-players. They don't, because it costs money for them. And they don't, as I say, these players serve no purpose to them anymore.
I think he does do a lot of work with the clubs now, to be fair. I listened to a podcast with him being interviewed.
As in the FA and all that.
Yeah, exactly. They're having to do it themselves, basically, the clubs, and which is good. But yeah, I think that's the critical time for them, just before they starting to retire as well. They need to be worked with. It's a couple of years at least before they start, winding down their career and retiring, so that they can either get qualifications in football, coaching, in something else, whatever it may be, for them to start planning and preparing for life without football. So I think that's really, really important situation. Now, just say hello to a few people that obviously are joining us. Put some questions in the box. Sam's just joined us. Hello, Sam. Nice to see you, mate. BX Gunner, as I mentioned earlier, thank you very much, mate, for joining in. And Ray from the Arsenal Fan Circle channel. Go and subscribe to that if you haven't done so already. Another great channel, another great show with fans just like ourselves, me and Ryan. If you like our work, I'm sure you like their work as well. So go and subscribe to them if you haven't done so already. I'm going to ask the other question now, which is also from Victoria on the WhatsApp group. Before we move on to the questions that are coming into the chat box, thank you. Great question. Which three players would you want backing you up in a pub fight? Now, I've took the decision as host this week to rule out Kolasinac because it's too obvious. Okay? Now, we would all say Kolasinac. Exactly, yeah, exactly. So, without Kolasinac, who would be your three players you'd want backing you up in a pub fight? It's a great question. Thank you, Victoria, for that one.
Vinnie Jones would be one of them. Absolute nutcase.
Oh, and by the way, guys that are watching, just put your answers in the chat box as well. It'd be great to get your suggestions on this one.
Yeah.
So Vinnie Jones is a good one.
Vinnie Jones, just because, again, even on the pitch, back in these days on the pitch, we've seen the pictures of him grabbing Gaza by the gonads, and he basically had no fucking fault for anything else, bar being basically a bastard, basically, no having a dark arts, but showing it basically. That's what I think now. So I'd have Vinnie Jones. That's what I think. I'll come back to the other two. Let you give me your thing. I'll come back to the other two. One sec.
First one for me that jumped out as soon as I saw the question earlier on when she put it in the group chat was, and a lot of people may not have heard of this guy, but Terry Hurlock used to play in the midfield for Millwall back in the day, back in the 80s, and rock hard. He had like long, curly, flowing hair, and he was probably one of the hardest players I've ever seen in my life. I mean, he was, to be fair, he had a great career, the level that he was, but he was crap at football. But he was a hard man, very hard man, and he did his job back in the day. Everyone was scared of him. And all the Millwall fans, because I've told you this before, but I went home and away with Millwall for about 2 or 3 seasons in my teens, because my 2 brother-in-laws were Millwall fans. So and that was in the 80s, so it was hard.
Yeah, back in the old days, yeah.
But everyone, all the Millwall fans in their sort of, their Millwall way, used to sing this song like "Terry's Gonna Get You" over and over again, and it was really haunting, to be perfectly honest, and it scared some of the Millwall fans themselves when they heard that, let alone the away fans. So he would be the first one. I think I'd have to agree. I think I'd say Vinnie Jones as well. I don't want to be boring and go with one of yours, but I think you can't really look past Vinnie Jones as well. He was a good one to have. I'm going to try and think of an Arsenal player first and foremost. I think it's got to be Vieira. Got to be Vieira. Oh, no, yeah. Sam Greenwood's come up with a great one, actually. I think, Duncan Ferguson.
Big Duncan, yep.
Big Dunk, yes. Big Dunk. That's a great one.
I thought of one was Thomas Repka. Remember him at West Ham?
Oh, yeah. He was a nutcase and all.
Again, a crap footballer, but he was hard as nails.
Yeah, John Walk as well, another one. Noel Quinn. No, sure. I think you get that impression about Noel Quinn, Sam, but yeah, I'll take your word for it. And who else? BX, Vinny, Pepe.
Bloody hell,
I presume we don't mean our Pepe. I presume we don't mean our Pepe. And Khan. That's. I think anything Khan I can think of is the boxer. But
Oliver Kahn.
Oliver Kahn. Oh, Oliver Kahn. Yes, thank you. Of course.
Massive
BX. Got a complete Braveheart moment there. Of course, Oliver Kahn. That's a great one. Really good one. And I presume you mean like the Benfica Pepe. Of course, not Nicola Pepe, because probably be the one of the last ones to choose.
I'll be concerned if BX means Nicholas.
He literally would be the last one.
He's in there, Portugal Pepe.
Portugal Pepe, yeah, exactly.
And the other one, I'm trying to think from an Arsenal perspective, Jens Lehmann, Mad Jens.
Do you know what? I thought of him this afternoon. Yeah, I thought of him this afternoon, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He lives up to the name, Mad Jens. He had no thought for danger, no second thought for anything else. He just go head first, like into battle, basically.
Yeah, he would. He wouldn't even. Wouldn't care. He wouldn't give two shits, would he? He'd just walk straight up to anyone.
Remember that little scuffle we had with everybody? Was it Drogba a few years back, 2008, I think it was, at Stamford Bridge? Him and Drogba having a bit of a Barney.
Yeah.
Drogba's touched him. He's got back up and shoved him over. He said, "Don't you fucking get out."
Yeah. No, I honestly, I thought of him earlier on as well. He's one of the ones that came to me. Not a huge amount of like real hard men going back through my sort of time with Arsenal, to be honest. I mean, Sam's put from Arsenal, Vieira, Jens, and Sol. I don't. Sol's massive. People wouldn't. The other one, of course, that we could have is
Keown.
Oh, what's his name? Well, Keown, yeah, of course. I mean, even someone like Winterburn and Dixon, they were first in there when people were back, with their teammates. But who's the one I'm thinking of? Is come on. He's always like the strongest player on FIFA. Wycombe Wanderers. What's his name? Adi Akinfenwa. Yes. Yeah. No one would mess with him, would they? No one would mess with Akinfenwa.
Another good shout from Ray in the chat, Stuart Pearce.
Stuart Pearce, of course. Psycho. Yeah. Oleg Luzhny. Great. That's from Ray. Keown, Stuart Pearce, Oleg Luzhny. Sol was big and strong, but I think he's more of a lover than a fighter, to be honest. Sol Campbell. Julian Dix, great shout from Ray there as well.
It's the same with the West Ham players at Hard Nuts. Razor Ruddock.
Yeah, Razor Ruddock for the nutcase. Actually, to be fair, he's another one that came to mind, but this afternoon when I was thinking about it, Razor Ruddock. And Sam agrees with Razor Ruddock there as well. And let me just quickly scroll back up. There was a comment.
That side of football, in terms of thinking that side of football, I just found some honourable names out there. For me, Martin Johnson, England captain in the early 2000s, the England rugby team won the World Cup.
Yeah.
He's a unit. I mean, Lawrence Delalio as well, that proper built up brick houses, but they knew how to look after themselves if they needed to.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, because I'm sure you know rugby better than I do. I'm sure there'll be hundreds of rugby players that are absolutely huge and massive and tough and broke, cauliflower ears and broken noses and all sorts. And Sam Greenwood said Niall Quinn wasn't very dirty, but big, strong, and always seemed to get one over on everyone. Probably others better to have in a fight, though. He was like a string bean, wasn't he? I think he was very tall. He was like a bit of a string bean. But again, I think he's too much of a nice guy.
I'd rather have Dennis Burkham than Niall Quinn. If you know.
Yes, to be fair, he really was a bit of a dirty player, wasn't he? He didn't take no crap at all, did he, from anyone?
The thing is, he hit it well, though. You never noticed it, because obviously everything else, all the other stuff he did on the pitch, you'd never notice what a passer he was on the pitch.
So yeah, that was a really, really good question. And right, more of those types of questions, please. That would be fantastic. Now, got some questions that have came into the chat box a bit before. Keep them coming in, please, everyone. Ray, question, and I think we answered this not 1 or 2 episodes ago. I can't remember, but he said, "Question: Formula One allegiances." Now, I think both of us said, didn't we, that we were not really massively into Formula One. So yeah, it's going to be a tough one to answer. However, for me, although I'm not really into Formula One at all, I'm sort of quite a historical type of allegiance with regards to that. And I would always want Ferrari to do well in Formula One. Just the quality and the name of Ferrari always means so much, when it comes to that sport for me. And to be fair, I'm not going to lie and pretend I know anything. I wouldn't even be able to tell you who drove for Ferrari nowadays. I'm really not that into Formula One at all. But just the name,
Schumacher
does it for me.
Used to race for him, wasn't he? He was their main guy, wasn't he, for one point?
Yeah.
So that's another reason. So that's all.
But yeah, from a kid, I've always, I've always liked cars and I always loved Ferraris, and so that'd be it for me. What about you?
Again, I'm like yourself. I'm not an avid supporter of F1. I just it doesn't entertain me. If you're sitting at home or or over in these respective countries in the stands, you're paying X amount of money. If you're actually in the bloody in the venue, you're paying hundreds of thousands of pounds probably to sit in the spot, and every few seconds see a car go past very fast, and that's it. You're still losing it. They'll be gone for the next 5 or 6 minutes.
I know they sound like mosquitoes as well when you're
it's just
the crowd going around.
If you're at home, it's just like you've got the commentator going, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't turn you up. Slight men in very overpowered vehicles going around circles 78 times or whatever. Yippee! Yeah, woohoo! I can think of more. I can think of more entertaining sports. Put it that way.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
I didn't buy. I mean,
BX has put McLaren 100%, and that'd probably be my second. To be fair, McLaren. I love McLarens as well. But yeah, it's not probably the right couple of people to ask that one, but I really do appreciate the question. I really do. BX has put a question in as well. When is the new away kit being released? Do we know?
It was originally the 20th, but apparently in the last couple of days it's come out. They're going to release it a couple of days early, on the 18th of this month.
So it's Wednesday, isn't it? No, no, of course it's not.
No, not next week. Not this week. Coming the following week. So
yeah, it's fine.
I think now
Monday
the 18th. Yeah.
So a week tomorrow. There we go. So that's the pink one, isn't it?
The black one. The pink one comes out just before the Emirates Cup at the end of the month.
Oh yeah, of course. The pink one is the third. I get confused. There's so bloody many of them. I was thinking the pink one was the third one for a minute.
The thing is, I wouldn't mind. I figured it out last year. In terms of the kit situation, but the men very rarely wore the yellow kit. Very rarely, once on a blue moon. Most of the time, it'd be the third kit, and the women's team always wore the yellow kit. They never wore the blue kit, so it's more likely going to be the girls going to be wearing the pink kit more.
Oh come on! That's just too biased. That's just too.
I know.
You've got to get within the 2020s, mate. You've got to get to the 2020s. You can't be so.
Tell the WSL this, because I'm just saying what I saw last year.
I'm joking.
Not once did I see them wear the blue kit.
I'm joking. I know. I'm just winding you up. Yeah, I know you've already answered this with Sam. Sam said Ryan was too busy in the armory buying his new merch.
I didn't buy it. I'm telling you now, I didn't buy it. I know I'm getting the black one, but I'm not buying that either.
I'm not going to ask any questions, mate, because if it's illegal, then I don't want to be shut down.
It's legal. Don't worry, it's all good. Live on air. I'm dodging.
He's got so many subscribers, everyone, because he just gets sent them by Arsenal. That's what happens. Yeah, go and give it to Ryan. He's a walking merchandise guy.
Yeah, walking billboard.
Yeah. I know everyone's saying like, thanks for the update. I need that black kit. It does look really nice. I'm waiting for mine to be delivered. I ordered one about a week ago, so hopefully it will be here for the Emirates Cup. I'll wear it for that.
In certain other countries, it's come out already, hasn't it?
Mm.
Like Australia and that side of the world, it's already come out. All the kits.
Yeah. So hopefully I'll be wearing that kit very, very soon. Right, another question. We need some more questions, guys, as well. Just think getting short questions, so keep them coming in, please. Sam, so Kante is being linked to us, 31 with a year left on his contract, would likely be a big contract, and another player we can't get rid of later, but would he be worth a punt for a couple of seasons? I'll go quickly on this one first, because I think he's built like a marathon runner. I don't, he looks like on the pitch, like he's just so silky and I know he's had a few injuries, but I don't get the feeling with him that he is injury prone. I think he's really resilient, and I can't see him fading. Now, for a couple of seasons, like Sam said, I would definitely think it's worth a punt. Personally, I'm not. We obviously can't legally discuss what's going on and all this stuff. I know people want us to talk about it left, right, and centre, but you have to think about the position on the pitch that could be potentially affected if it's shown.
If it's said person,
it's one of our players. If it's shown that it's one of our players, and we can't ignore that fact that we might be a player like we might. So we have to, as a club, we have to sort of start looking at players like that if that's the case, right? And I'm not going to say any more than that. But if you're looking at him to play in that role, I think he's got. I mean, you look at players like Moutinho for Wolves, who's 35, 36, still an excellent player. You can name a number of players that are still, in their mid-30s. Look at Real Madrid's midfield, and you're telling me that they just won the Champions League, for crying out loud. But they were clever, and they started old and finished young.
Yeah,
if you think about it with their team. But I think Kante's got a good 2 or 3 years left in him. Easy. I think he's just about 30, isn't he? If I'm right. So
just about 29, 30, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think he'd be worth a punt because he's only got a year left on his contract, and it would depend on the package overall. But I wouldn't be disappointed, put it that way, if we were to get him in for a couple of seasons. What about you?
For the sake of a couple of seasons, look, he's a World Cup winner. He's won the Champions League as well. He's shown, even with all the injuries, with the injuries he's had recently, when he has come back, he has stopped back in the system. I mean, with Chelsea last year, we saw when he didn't start, even when he was available to play, if he didn't start, you could see the difference between him when he does start to when he doesn't, and what effect it had on the team. And then from each perspective, it was a positive because it showed how much they needed him, and I think they still need him. They're just on that mindset of, well, you're at a certain age now. Do we want to take that risk on you? But again, in an era where they're in a new ownership, I personally, no matter what, again going back to what you said before, no matter what the situation is, even if the situation doesn't involve an Arsenal player, I'll still go and get him. And literally, you don't have to play him every game. Play him in the important games more than anything. So I've had that experience in the midfield, and he's quite happy to just sit there and run around like a fucking terrier and do all the dirty work, whilst everyone else does their thing. He doesn't like to get over exuberant and all that. He's very pure and simple. This is my job. This is my role. He doesn't get any trouble either. Not once have we ever heard him get into any trouble. I mean, the first season after he left Leicester going to play for Chelsea, Chelsea played Leicester away. He missed the bus going home, and he bumped into a Leicester fan and went back home and watched match of the day with him. He's that sort of humble, down-to-earth guy that ain't up himself and will actually get involved with the fans and don't act like a normal guy. He doesn't cause any trouble as well. Saying that, touch wood. But yeah, it's no matter what the situation occurs, even if it isn't, especially if it isn't an Arsenal player and that's involved in that situation that you touched on before, I'd still go for him. Bring him in, play him in more so in the big important games that we sort of struggled on last season. Play him in the lesser games as well, but not as much. Just use him as much as rotate him in and out because of his age. You've got to remember his age as well. Just rotate him in and out, but do it smart. Be smart with it, and I think you're onto a winner there for the 2 seasons as well. What's the worst that could happen?
You played him in all the important big games.
He won't be a winner. Trust me, he will not be.
Exactly. He has got the attitude whereby he is so grateful. It sounds stupid to say, but he's like the type of player who knows that he should be really grateful to be a professional footballer. And whenever he goes on that pitch, he gives his all. He's not the sort of player that would just say, just give up, just chuck in the towel like an Ozil did for us or a Aubameyang did for us. Just stop performing. He will give it all the time. He's got that type of character. So, like BX agrees, that Kante is still ready to go now, already made and proven. Totally right. Sam Greenwood, yep, he likes Kante. And got another question from Sam. Thank you, mate. Keep them coming in, please, everyone. Like I keep saying. Hickey confirmed by Brentford. We are linked to Grimaldo. Which of the two would you prefer? I know little about either, to be honest. You could write down what I know about Grimaldo as well on like a back of a stamp, I think, to be perfectly honest. I know that, what's he, 25, 26, I believe? I think he's
again, I don't know the person.
It's a good age. I know he's obviously plays for Benfica. I don't know too much about him. I know more about the Martinez links, which obviously I prefer if I could still try and get him. But the price seems to be going up and up. Last time I heard now, when I was been scrolling through Twitter for updates, and as you do, that the price has now gone over to about 50 million quid for this Martinez, which is just getting ridiculous. And the last thing you've got to do...
That's Van der Sar being greedy now. He knows that his ex-clubs are after, and another Premier League club's after him, 2 rivals. He's thinking, well, hey, bidding war. And that's what he wants. And he's trying to instigate that bidding war now.
Yeah, exactly. I really, really, really liked the look of Hickey. I'm not going to go back on what I've said before, because when we were linked to him, you obviously do the usual, don't you? You start looking into him and start, doing all the YouTube rounds and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I really like the look of him, and I said it on my podcast several times. I think he's a really good player. But then, since I saw him play for Scotland a couple of times, and I was like, he's got the talent, and he's not quite ready. Exactly. I thought he's going to be another player for the future.
And what you've seen of him, put it this way, from what you've seen of him, would he be an upgrade on Tavares?
No,
or just
that's exactly what I was coming to. That's exactly what I was coming to. I think he's going to be another player that's for the future, and we've already got one of those. But I think the one that we've got is really good. And let's put it this way: when we had Tavares in the team regularly last season, he was doing really well. From what I saw of him in those games, was better than what I've seen of anything that Hickey's done. Now, I know he ended the season less strongly, but he's a young player. You've got to try and give him a chance. And we've had this conversation about Tavares before about what we should do with him. And I totally agree with, I think, what you said as well. We should keep him until January, because he could play quite a number of games, even without touching the Premier League before the World Cup starts. And then after the World Cup, then it's a January window. You can make a decision on him. I think he could play all the Europa League group games and the Carabao Cup game round that we would have before then as well. I'd like to see him a bit more first. He'd have had a full pre-season with us under Arteta. Let's see what you can do between now and then they make a decision. Because from what I've read, loads of clubs across Europe, including Spain, France, and Italy, are all interested in him. Why are they all interested in him? All these clubs, all of a sudden, it's because he's a decent player. We shouldn't just flush him down the toilet straight away. So I don't think that missing out on Hickey has cost us a lot, because I've really got my doubts whether he's ready right now. I'm not saying he's not going to be a really good player, but I don't think he's going to be Premier League ready right now without making mistakes. So, I think we just go with Tavares or another, But regarding Grimaldo, I know so little about him, I can't really comment, if I'm honest. So, have you got anything to add on that?
Again, I've not, apart from his name being mentioned in the last few days. Again, it could be just media trying to hype things, divert things, or it could be just a club trying to put pressure on Ajax to back their ideas that we don't know. People need to learn from Fabio Vieira. We didn't know that was coming. That came out of nowhere. But if we are actually genuinely going for this, looking at this guy, again, I haven't watched the Benfica and Portuguese league on a regular basis. I wouldn't have a fair stance in the situation because I don't know what he could bring to us because I've not watched him. I'd have to, if things got stronger and stronger, I'd obviously do more research and look into it. But we'll see.
It seems like the Portuguese league is the in thing at the moment to go grab players and talent from Portugal. And like Sam's put, I've just put it on the screen for those listening on audio. Obviously, we keep going to Benfica. It must be Edu and his Brazil-Portugal connections. And I think that can only be a good thing, mate. And not too much wrong at the moment. So, if they go for him, it must be for a good reason.
Ruben Diaz, who played Liverpool, came from Porto last season. And I'm not saying, obviously, in terms of we've got Fabio Vieira for Porto, I'm not saying Fabio Vieira is going to have the same impact straight away. But there's potential there. What we're being told by Porto fans, even before and since the deal's been confirmed, they believe this guy's even better than Bernardo Silva. But he's got that ceiling. He hasn't even peaked. Obviously, he's not even peaked yet, and he's showing so much more talent and just general gameplay than what they've seen in years from any Portuguese player. And we may have got a gem there, and people go, "Well, no one else was after him. Why did no one else bid for him?" Well, we just got, for once in our lives, we've got in there first. I'd rather not be in a bidding war for every player we go for. Thank you very much.
We need to be smart in the market. We need to get these players before they become supernova. They may not become supernova, but you never. If they did, and we hadn't got them when we had the chance, everyone would be going, "Oh, why didn't we go for him last summer? We were linked to him, and blah blah blah." We could have got him for however much. He can't win in those cases, so let's just hope he does go supernova for Arsenal. Another question. Well, thank you, Sam. I really appreciate it, mate. Would you keep any of the players who returned from loan who we can't seem to get rid of, like AMN, Torreira, Reece Nelson, etc.? You can go first on that one.
I think in terms of Tavares, Tavares is really, because of the comments we mentioned his last week about the comments he made recently to the press and all that. I think he's sort of now put the final nails in the coffin. I think it's just the club now need to find someone that's going to pay the £15 million that we initially had an agreement with Fiorentina. It's just I think with the likes of Fiorentina and all these other clubs now, because we've done over the last couple of years, have paid players to leave in terms of like the Mesut Ozils, Mustafi, Socrates, etc. They all think we're a bit of a soft touch. We're going to do it for everyone now. I think we've got to a point now as a club where we're not that desperate to get rid of all our players. In terms of these deadwood, in terms of we've got to get more out the door. We've got too much deadwood. We've got very little deadwood nowadays, and with that, I think it puts us in a stronger position because then we can go now. Well, if we don't want to pay us what we value a player at, that's okay. We'll keep hold of them. is not the end of the world for us, and especially a thing people need to consider as well. We've sort of mentioned it on other shows and all that. It's the five sub rule is not just going to be a Europa League and a cup competition thing. It's a Premier League thing as well. And you got the World Cup slap bang in the middle before you've even reached halfway through the season. You got a World Cup slap bang in the middle of it all for an entire month. You get a week off to prepare for it, week off to recover from it, and then they're back at it again. Get back to their respective clubs in the hope they don't get injuries as well at the World Cup. Touch wood from our players anyway, the ones that are going. So for me, today, again, if he hadn't said what he said the other week, I'm all for keeping him. It'd make more again to squad depth and playing in the Europa League games, etc., just to give him a run out. It made sense, but obviously he's made comments now to make it perfectly clear. The club don't want me. I then don't want to be here. Come and get me someone. Let's sort of put a tail taste on him, because as Gandry using that, I've been all for literally. He needs to be in our squad at least. He would be really good for us if we can get him back to where he was in his first season before Emery decided to put him as a number 10 and completely ruin his confidence. We've got a player there. We know we've got a player there. It's just obviously getting him back to that, and hopefully, in terms of obviously, because people will say there's players there that bullied him. If them players are no longer there, maybe that was the reason why he was more inclined to stay last year. Because last year he came in and said, "I want to stay at Arsenal. I want to fight for my spot and all that." He was told, "Piss off." But now he's obviously doing what he's doing. I'm just like, okay, whatever, move on. Reiss Nelson, we've mentioned it before. He now needs to come back now. He had a good second half last season. It took a bit of time, but he had a good end to the second half season onwards. He was really, really good. Great reviews about him. He now needs to come back. Again, it's only one game, so I can't really read too much into it. But it seemed like it's the same Reiss of old when it comes to Arsenal. There's no real. I don't know. He just didn't get into the game really. It just never felt right. I don't know. But again, it's only one game, so we can't really judge him off that one game back. So we've got to give him the rest of the pre-season and see how we stand from that. But personally, again with the 5 sub situation, how weak we were in our squad depth, depending on what our incomings are. If we don't put it this way, if we don't go out and get a right winger now, in terms of Rafinha's now dead and gone, whatever. I'll give, and obviously to help Saka out, I'll keep Reiss Nelson for at least 6 months until January and reassess things then, because obviously Saka's going to need that respite at some point. Personally, if obviously we are to keep Reiss Nelson and not get no one else, I personally play Reiss Nelson in the midweek Europa League games, and i.e. the early stages of the League Cup before the World Cup. So all Saka's got to do is prepare himself weekend to weekend for the league, so it gives him some sort of respite, and there's less chance of him getting injured as well. Touch wood. But also, it's a bit of competition as well, and obviously and it's as an incentive for Reiss Nelson, a bit of a incentive of, well, actually, you know what? Use these games that I'm giving you in Europe and in the League Cup to get your form back to where it should be, to the standard of where this club wants to go, and you've got a chance of fighting for your place here. You can compete and battle with Saka on a week-to-week basis for the Premier League spot as well. Maybe he needs that sort of incentive. I don't know, but yeah, I'll be happy to keep him. Ainsley, personally, I think if he doesn't back his ideas in terms of his attitude, in terms of listen to the people now. If this last loan spell has taught him nothing, and going out on loan to Roma, to one of the most experienced Premier League managers we've had in Mourinho, no matter what we think of him and all that, but he has achieved things in England and all that and throughout Europe. If he's been told the same thing as Sam Allardyce has told him a year prior, get back to Arsenal, shut up and put up, and he's still not doing. I don't know if he is or not, but if he's still not doing that, if put it this way, because obviously I don't know if he watched the game or not. He started off in the midfield pivot on what day went today? Wednesday? Was it Wednesday? Was it Wednesday or Tuesday we played?
No, it's Thursday.
Thursday. Friday.
Yeah, Friday. Yes, it was Friday because I was on my way back. Yeah, picking up kids. That's right.
Sorry, I apologise. The weather's mixing my head up before the date.
I know.
Yeah, he started in the midfield pivot in the first half, and then second half he was put out as Hector was taken off, and he was put as right wing back, and then he obviously then came on to take his role in the midfield. And I say big if he's had a kickoff over that, Arteta privately, then Arteta's got to just go to Eddie and go, I'm trying this, that. I'm trying this. That. He's so tested. He ain't learning his lesson. He's been told, and I'm assuming the clubs will be told what the rights of Mourinho and all that. Think of these players, etc. If he's been told by X, Y, and Z to accept what he's given at Arsenal, if he should be grateful, he's not. His attitude's getting worse. We need to find him somewhere else, because otherwise, if we keep him here, he's going to upset the flow within the club that they've built over the last 12 months.
Yeah.
In that case, if that's the case, then yeah, you know what? Let him go. I don't care. I don't care where to now, because I don't care if it's Premier League, Championship. He's got to a point now. He comes across like a spoiled brat now. We said this back in. We mentioned this back in the last season. We were doing the live streams of the Europa League and not the Europa League conference final and all that. That the players like Reece the players like Ainsley need to sort of buck up now, realise what they're given at Arsenal, the opportunity they've been given at Arsenal, and actually either grab it with both hands and run with it, no matter what position that may be, even if it's not their preferred position, or be happy playing for the likes of West Brom and barely playing for them. Let's remember, he went to West Brom, a struggling West Brom, and couldn't get into that midfield team. He played one game. He played one game in Roma, and he barely played ever since then.
I know. Yeah, I just think his time is up.
How many kick up the arses does this kid need to realise we are actually being very, very grateful, not grateful, very lenient to him and giving him games here? Because if other clubs aren't giving him games compared to us,
exactly. I don't see anyone backing up to try and buy him.
No,
he's an young English international, and no one is queuing up to buy him.
No, I think that comes down to his attitude.
Exactly. That tells you something, mate. You've got to buck your ideas up, otherwise your career is going down a slippery slope. You'll end up playing in the lower leagues, which is ridiculous. Because I really like Ainsley. He did a lot of good things in the run-up to the winning the FA Cup, and he's just thrown it all away. And I just think he's lost his chance now.
He broke into the England setup as a wing-back, part of his defensive abilities, because Southgate really saw what he was doing defensively. And let's just say he just went, I still want to play midfield.
Yeah,
he's just grow up now.
Where's his advisors? Where's his family telling him to realise how lucky he is?
We all know the situation publicly. We all know the situation with his mum and all that.
I know, but surely he's got other people around him. Oh, I don't know.
We'll go on to the mum and all that. Anyone that's outed him, he's outed, and basically just fuck off. Basically, they've all said the only ones that are around him are the ones that are up his arse, like kissing his arse. Like, yes, Ainsley, no, Ainsley, three bags for Ainsley. They don't challenge him.
It's a shame, isn't it? It's just. I mean, the same. I totally agree. And BX has said something there that I've said before about Torreira, that he needs to man up. Yeah. Remember when going back to the time when he was always crying on the pitch, and I said it then. I said, "You've got to stop this, mate. It's ridiculous." He was always went through a stage of being in tears all the time, and he was crying when someone, who was it, got substituted.
He went off in the Europa League final.
Yeah, that's it.
He got subbed off crying like this.
I was thinking, come on, man, just man. I said it. I said those words, Bix. I said you got to man up, and it really annoyed me at the time. It happened more than once, and I was thinking, what's going on here? You know,
he went off for Joe Willock, and as you say, as he's walking off, he starts tearing up, and he's on the pit. He's on the bench. Face like smack backside, but also, woe is me.
Yeah, Ozil went off with Joe Willock. He was still playing. He was on the pitch, and he was in tears. I was thinking, come on. So I mean, out of them all, I mean, he would be the most useful. Which is ironic, like you just said. It's ironic the fact that he would be really, really ideal at the moment, and he's going on the American tour, bizarrely, isn't he?
As it stands, yeah.
So that's a bit weird. But we'll move on anyway, just to get a couple more questions in before we go. Sam's put another one in the chat saying, do you feel players like Bissouma and Richarlison get overhyped just because Spurs got them? I think Bissouma is overrated due to going to Spurs, and Richarlison is very mediocre. He's a B-Tech Brazilian, he said. Have they been overrated because they've gone to Spurs? I haven't seen much fanfare, if I'm honest. But I might have missed out on it.
Mate, literally every time Spurs make a signing, every signing they've made so far, Sky are literally making a day of it. Basically, they're constantly giving coverage over that. And there's Tottenham fans out there going, "We've had a fantastic window so far, mate. You've got a 30-plus-year-old goalkeeper to be the backup to another 30-plus-year-old goalkeeper. You spent £60 million on Richarlison to be a backup to either Son, Kane, or Richarlison, a backup, a squad player. £60 million on a squad player, basically. You've spent 25 million. Maybe this is done in one sense as Bissouma because it was 25 million. It wasn't over price wise. But again, with other things going on off the pitch could contribute to things ending very swiftly there if he is found in a negative way in that side of things. I'm not going to go into it. Guilty, basically, of what he's been accused of. So that could end very abruptly. And if Arsenal, because all the Arsenal fans at the time were going off on one, if Arsenal had gone for him, it'd be all like we go for him, spend that 25 mil, get him in, integrate him, goes to court, gets found guilty, and what does everyone do? Including the media and some of our fan base, why the fuck did Arsenal buy him for 25 mil, knowing the situation he was in? Yet Tottenham is not talked about. It does my bloody head in. It just seems like, yet again, the Tottenham are the darlings of the media, can't upset them, got to give them all the praise. So we've gone out of nowhere, caught everyone off guard, including our own fan base, and got some potentially an absolute gem from Portugal. He got a half-hour mention on Sky, and that was it. They sort of moved on now. And Jesus, again, Premier League proven, won 4 league titles, an FA Cup, League Cups, etc., etc. £45 million, absolute bargain. I don't care what anyone says. £45 million is a bargain for a player of that amount of honours to his name coming to another Premier League club. You consider the Premier League tax and all that crap. Yet that gets mentioned, but not to the same level as if he's signed for Tottenham. Literally, you get a couple of hours of him being mentioned, he's signed for Arsenal, then it's moved on. It's just the media being the media, and again showing that they have their loyalties to certain teams. That we're not one of them.
Exactly. Yeah. No. I'm always honest. I know that I've spoken about Richarlison in the past, saying that I'd rather have got him than Dominic Calvert-Lewin from Everton, because everyone was going on about these Dominic Calvert-Lewin for ages. And I said, I'd rather get Richarlison.
Yeah.
He's not a prolific striker. Obviously, he's not, gone. I don't think he's ever scored more than double figures in the Premier League. No. But I liked the sort of combative nature of him. I liked his sort of work rate. I like the fact that he's a battler as well. Doesn't give up. He gets wound up quite easy, but if you can channel that in the right way, I think I quite like it in a way.
The content won't do that.
But he's only going to be backup to Kane and Son.
That's what I'm saying. Spurs are getting overpraised for spending £60 million on a player that's going to be on the bench most of the time. £60 million. If we do that, we're getting sorted for it.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Well, I'm going to ask you a final question now before we wrap up.
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather have pubic hair made out of unremovable barbed wire, or be attacked by a rabid badger and you're asleep once a week?
Oh, for God's sake. These guys are getting more bizarre. I think I need to take over hosting fully now for 4 times.
So, I'll say it again. Would you rather have pubic hair made of unremovable barbed wire, or be attacked by a rabid badger in your bed once a week?
I take the rabbit badger fucking cross.
What?
At least I'll get 6 days of respite.
I would, because you can get into a routine of knowing exactly what's going to happen and when, and you can be ready for it, couldn't you?
Exactly.
You could be ready and waiting with your baseball bat and your glove, your big thick leather gloves, so you can't get scratched all the way through it, and batter it to death, and then go back to sleep. Oh dear. Oh no!
Oh my god!
Sam's put one in there, but I ain't going to go put that one in there, mate.
God.
But that's very funny. I can answer it offline, maybe. But yeah, thank you very much for all your questions, especially you, Sam. You've been great, and everyone else that's asked us a question and joined us tonight. It's been wonderful. I'm not going to be doing a show on Tuesday, just so you all know, because I'm out for the night. So I'll be obviously just check social media for when we're going to be going on next. We're going to be on your channel on Sunday next week.
Sunday next week, probably about the same time as this week, because obviously I haven't told you yet, but Mike's got in contact with me, the Quizmaster.
Oh, cool.
He wants to do a quiz next Sunday at 7 o'clock. So probably do around the same time as today, as we did for next week. So.
Yeah, no problem. That's absolutely fine. Are you doing anything else between now and then?
Monday, tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow I'm covering the women's second game. England women's second game. I think it's in Norway. I think it is. Hopefully, a bit more of a flattening scoreline tomorrow.
That'd be a good game. Yeah, I'm free. I might be able to join you for that one if you want me to.
Yeah, Beth Mead as well. Hopefully, it gets another goal. And yeah, obviously the girls do well doing that. And then I'm trying to think now. And then nothing till it's Friday. Then Friday doing the third game against Northern Ireland. I think that I could double check the time for that. But Friday doing that, and then on Sunday you're getting trouble on Sunday. You're getting obviously me hosting this next week on my channel. Half hour later, coming back with Mike and the guys for the quiz. And then a few hours later, you've got me and Gary co-hosting at 6 o'clock in the morning as Arsenal take on Everton in pre-season.
Fantastic.
Yay.
Sounds good. I'm looking forward to those games.
Hopefully by then I'll have a new window.
Yeah. So yeah, once again, thank you to everyone. Well done for Mohamed El Neni for smashing one in from 30 yards off the bar. That was an amazing goal, and the first outing in an Arsenal shirt for Gabriel Jesus was fantastic. So let's have more of the same.
Yeah.
And once again, thanks a lot, and I'll see you all next time.